Hey guys, welcome back to my video. If you're new here, my name is Rowena, and if you're not new here, thank you for coming back. Now, you may have returned because of part one, and you understand that this is part two of the video. However, if you're new here, you may not know. So this is part two of a three-part video I am doing on the whole assessment graduate recruitment process. And in part one, I spoke on an assessment day, what it is and what to expect of an assessment day and the purpose of it, as well as the first activity that usually happens in an assessment day, which is a group activity, right? In this video, I will be speaking only on interviews. So I would tell you and suggest to go watch part one of that video, and then you come back to this video, and after this video you can watch part three, which will be the presentation part. If you're interested in interviews and understanding what to expect in interviews on assessment day, continue watching. Each company is different, so the layout of the day or the agenda for the day may be different. However, in this particular situation, I'll be going into interviews. Now, whilst the group assessment was done with however many of the other persons who are vying for the same position, for the interview, it is done individually, and you usually have two or more interviewers. This is not to scare you or to put you off, it's just because there should be no biases, and there should be not a situation where a candidate is put in a position where they feel that they're unfairly treated or something like that, right? So if you have multiple people, they can all keep each other in check, right? And just have different point of views. Before the assessment center takes place, assessors have a meeting, right? And we all get the agenda for the day. We get to see the group exercising and all the things that will be taking place during that day. Also, we do get your CVs. Remember that you had sent in your CV, which would have potentially been the first step for you guys, just because they need to familiarize yourselves. We do get a list of who we would be observing, interviewing, and so forth beforehand. It then prepares us as assessors to do the job that we're meant to be doing, and so that the day functions properly. Understand this. At the company I work for, what they do is make sure that if I observe someone else interviews them. There's no chance of me impacting that person if I have a bias towards them, because I would not be the overall overseer for that person for that day. And even if I observe that person, I am not the only one observing that person. A person is observed by multiple assessors. Please understand that. And you're observed during your group presentation. For an interview, you'll be asked questions. In a group setting, we do not ask questions, we just observe you and leave you, let you be. But in the interview, we're directly asking you questions now, okay? This is now your time to shine. Understand this. Understand that we have already seen your CV, right? And we may have printouts of your CV on a day, just because we are then seeing your, your educational status, your experiences, and so forth on a day, and just your hobbies and so forth. And then we have a slide deck of questions, and if we want to ask you further questions and so forth, we have that. We see you on paper, what you are, but the fact is, sometimes paper does not do the selling as best as it should. This is now a time for you to shine. And whilst you are going through the first half of the assessment center, ideally you want to be taking note of everyone, seeing the vibe, like seeing how the energy is, seeing how the culture, picking up on certain things of the culture. And then in the interview, you get to make sure that you match in with the culture so that the interviewers understand that you are the best candidate for the job. How do you do that? First things first, always understand that every question I ask you, you need to tell me a story. Not a false one, but tell me a story. What do I mean by that? Give me the full picture so I can understand everything that you did, so that I can understand the relevance to what you are saying. That's one. Two, if you do not understand something, please do not attempt to answer it. Ask for clarification and ask for them to repeat. If the interviewers are good, because we all get training as well. Before we are able to interview or assess anyone in a corporate level, we need to be trained, at least in my company. When we're an interviewer, we need to make sure that you are feeling as comfortable as possible. If you do not understand something, we cannot be upset at you for not understanding. It is our duty to make sure that you understand what you're being asked so that you can then answer as how you want to answer, but with the full understanding of what the question was. Ask for clarification if you do not understand it. I've seen too many examples of people attempting to answer things when clearly they did not understand the question. If you do not hear the question, ask me to repeat it. As a good interviewer, I need to make sure that you are comfortable and that you have been equipped with the right tools to then proceed with your answer. Therefore, please do not feel intimidated. Do not feel like you shouldn't. If you don't understand it, ask. If you didn't hear it, ask. I know it sounds simple, but I've seen many people mess up on just this simple thing. And it might be simple to somebody else, but for somebody else, they might feel that they're not in a position to do it. Please ask them to repeat, ask them to clarify something. If there's a word that's used that you don't understand what it means, ask them for a definition of the word. Please ask. Answer in a star manner. So tell me in a storytelling manner. Usually you follow the star rule. There's a situation, you tell me. You paint me the background. Any good story will have a background or context, because I need to understand what context are we in for you to then proceed. Because if you give me the results and I have no idea what the context, the task, or the action was, I wouldn't understand it. So when I say STAR, always remember situation, task, action, and results. Do not leave out any of those things, because if you do, then something will be missing. I, as the interviewer, would not grasp fully what you have done to accomplish something. If I ask you a question, tell me about a time when you had to work in a group project and you had to deal with a difficult member. What did you do and what was the results? Typical question, yeah? I would encourage everyone, please do your research before you go into an interview. Why? At least understand what an interview is and what questions you may get asked. So if you have done that, you will know that tell me about a time when is a very typical interview question. What is the situation? It's telling me the context. What were you in? What was the context surrounding whatever it is that you are going to now tell me about, right? So you were in uni, or you were at work, or you're in a different country on holiday, whatever it is. Then you tell me the task. What difficulty did you face? And then your actions. So what did you actually do? Now, after you told me your actions, then what was the result? What impact did your action have on the situation, and what is now the outcome? Always answer every single thing in an interview in that pattern. Why? Because then it gives the assessors enough information to say, oh, okay, I see what happened there. I see what was there and how your actions impacted the whole situation to now bring forth these results. So then I can now appreciate better your results. Imagine if you came and you told me a story, you gave me the background, so you gave me the situation, and then you gave me the results. I wouldn't appreciate your action because I wouldn't have known your actions because you didn't tell me. You see what I mean? So do not leave out any of those vital stuff. When you understand the question, always use the best possible example to make sure that you are looking good. It's an interview. I want to hear about what you have done, not what your team has done. I've seen so many instances where people come to me and say, oh, I motivated the team and the team did this. We have already assessed you in a group presentation. We already know the group thing. An interview is solely based on you. You need to tell me what you are doing. I can then better assess you as an individual. But if every single thing I ask you, tell me about the time when you tell me about the time when a team that you were in did this, and you cannot differentiate yourself, or you cannot tell me what actions you took individually to contribute to that team's effort, then that does not look good on you. Because most times we as assessors would think, okay, maybe this person is fibbing. Maybe this person didn't add any real value. Maybe this person didn't do anything. We want to make sure that we are hiring someone who will be an individual contributor to the company. If you cannot tell me a feasible thing that you have done, and all you're telling me is about what somebody else did or what a team did, yes, teamwork is amazing, but again, we have already assessed that. We assessed you in a group exercise before. So what have you done individually? Please understand that every question that is asked in an interview is supposed to make you as a person shine. Answer accordingly. Next tip, when you're answering, please choose situations where you are not incriminating yourself. You would think that this is general knowledge, and you would think that I surely do not need to tell you that as an assessor, we do not want to hear anything that could potentially be unlawful. And whilst you may be the initiator of that unlawful action, yes, it shows that you're taking initiative, you are being hired into a company where rules and regulations will be. If you are telling me how you initiate action to beat the system, so to speak, it is not necessarily the best look on you. I have sat in an interview, and I kid you not, we asked them to tell us about a time when they initiated action, how did it happen? And that person told us about a time when they were at university and they had to do a project, a written project, and they were using a software that basically took some pieces of other people's work and put it together so that it would beat the system. The university had noticed that they were getting students with work and stuff that seemed familiar and seemed very similar. So they initiated now a new grading system that a computer was able to pick up on what was stolen from other kids' work or not. So then they had to stop doing that and start doing their own research. And whilst we appreciate that you was now doing your own research as opposed to taking someone else's research, surely you do understand that you've just told us that if the school did not catch on to that their students were somehow doing similar work and presenting it and getting good grades, that you would have not changed. That does not sell you in a good light. Therefore, with all these examples, and no matter how good of a storytelling you're doing, if your story is not one that is good, and your story would potentially mean that it could make the company second guess whether or not they would want someone who is doing that or is of that mindset, do not tell it. Don't get me wrong, no one on earth is perfect. In this crucial moment, you're trying to make yourself look as good as possible. This is solely marketing yourself. If you haven't caught on, for an assessment day, you're marketing yourself. Please do not come and tell stories that are incriminating and are not showing you in the best light and makes your values questionable, especially if it's a company that is very big on certain ethical values, honesty, and so forth. If it's a company like that where you may be trusted with information and so forth, and then you're saying to us that you would look about another way to go around and try to do something that is not ethical to get to an ends for your own sole benefit, it's not good. When you're speaking, speak confidently and at a reasonable pace. If you are rushing through when you're bubbling over your words and you don't come across confident, it can leave a negative impact. Now, you may not be graded down on the fact that you're babbling over your words. We all understand that on the day, their nerves and so forth. But there's a level of expectation that you need to be at. And whilst, yes, an interview is never a comfortable place, because I don't think there's any one person who loves being interviewed. I've sat as both. I've been an interviewer as well as an interviewee. And either way you're taking it, like, it's not a comfortable place to be interviewed. But there's a certain level of expectation that's on you, right? Making sure that you're clear, you're precise, and you're answering with confidence. Even if inside you're feeling really anxious, try as best as possible to limit how much of that anxiety comes out. And I know it's hard, but practice in your mirror, practice at home, practice. It makes perfect, trust me. If I say tell me about yourself, that should not need to take you 5 minutes to then think about something about yourself. reasonable timing, I expect that you would start to tell me something. Also, this brings me to my next tip. If I do ask you in an interview to tell me about yourself, understand that this is not a trick question. I do already know something about yourself. Remember, it's an assessment center. You would have already introduced yourself. I would have potentially seen your CV already because I am the interviewer, so I would have been granted access to see it. I already know about you. All I'm asking you to do is tell me how you, as a person, would fit here. So don't tell me that you have a dog and cat and, if it's not necessary. I mean, you can say that, but just make sure that you're telling me other things as well that makes me want to hire you. That makes me see that, okay, you are fit for this, okay? Makes me see that you are fit for this role, and that, even your extracurricular activities, that I can see, okay, so you're interested in this. That means could potentially transfer some skills here. Do dress the part. It might sound unfair, but the fact is, and this is a proven thing, as human beings, we do make assumptions of people within the first 7 seconds of seeing someone without us even speaking to. And we all do it. And I'm not just talking from an assessor to an interviewer. Overall, as human beings, we do that. So imagine, out of 8 people, you're the only one who turns up in a tracksuit as opposed to a suit. And especially in a corporate world. Now understand, whatever tips I'm giving you, take what you can for whatever situation you're in. All my tips might not be useful to you. My target audience would be people who are looking for placements and graduates who are in a corporate world, so to speak, and who have come to an assessment day, somewhat casual at the very least. But if you're coming to a corporate situation, ultimately try to look your best, because trust and believe that other candidates will be coming in their best, and you don't want to be among the ones that they're like, oh, did you miss the memo? And even if it is not described what your outfit should look like, or you're dressing on a day and it's not stated, just always look your best, because people tend to react better to people who are well dressed, and that again is also proven. Also have questions at the end of the interviews when they say, okay, is there any question you want to have? It's good to show that you're keen on a company. So if you have questions, do ask them. Take advantage of it. It is okay to ask questions. As well as you wanting a job, understand that the company also wants someone. You don't want to go in a job that's not necessarily the best job for you. It's not the best working environment and stuff. And the only way you're going to find that out is if you ask questions. So do ask questions, and then you can also see whether or not this company is it for you as well. Also have charisma. It's your personality that's shining through. Please don't take it for granted. When you go for lunch, be courteous, be kind. You don't even need to do that much. Just make sure that your presentation, how your overall decorum, how you speak and you interact with others, even if they are there and they're all vying for the same position, be kind to them, be motivating to them. And that will also shine through, because at an assessment center, I have seen instances where the grades alone have not impacted who gets it. Okay, understand that the grade, yes, they are helpful, but also throughout the day, your personality can shine through. Why? Because the person with the highest grade may not have the personality to match the team that they're being placed in, and as such, the executive decision is made. Okay, we'll go with this other person who might not have scored as high as this person, but their personality and their experiences would match and fit this team better. Throughout the day, understand that these are the things impact the ultimate decision of which candidate is chosen. So make sure that you're presenting yourself, you're marketing yourself as the best version of you on that day. I hope, guys, that this part 2 of this 3-part series was really good, and I hope that you've learned something. I hope that my tips would be useful, and if you're ever in an interview, that you can say, oh, I remember that I watched Rowena's channel and Rowena did say this. Do subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, and if you haven't yet checked out part 1, check it out. Also, please bear in mind I have a part 3 to this where we speak on presentations. I hope that you guys also check that video out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in another video. Bye.